The self-storage industry is evolving rapidly, and that's only going to get faster with the rise of AI-powered platforms. 2 weeks ago, we brought you 3 of the best and brightest on the tech vendor side. Today, this week on Storage Unlocked, we get the operational side. I am your host, Thaddeus Campbell, Director of Business Development at S3 Partners. Proud and honored to welcome 3 of the people that I know and love in the industry. Shannon Charbonneau, Vice President of Client Solutions at XPS Solutions. Say that twice fast. Adam Wagner, founder of Anytime Property Storage Management. And Gabriel Luna, Marketing Manager for Derrell's Mini Storage. Guys, first and foremost, thanks so much for taking time to come and join Storage Unlocked.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Thaddeus.
Excited for this. I'm going to just kind of share a little backstory. I had every intention of running an operator side roundtable on the show. And funny enough, and Shannon and I both are strong in our faith. We kind of believe that God sort of has a plan for us. She called me one day or sent me a text and was like, Dad, I got something I got to talk to you. She had a conversation with Gabriel about the rise of technology and how it's affecting operators on the self-storage industry, and reached out to me about something that I already had every intention of doing. We pulled Adam Wagner into the fold as well. So guys, really cool how this came about. It was something I already wanted to talk about because obviously technology is playing such a massive role in the industry, and we're seeing this consolidation in the industry. Going to set this up a little bit. We're going to start out with some rapid fire questions. I'm going to go around the room, give each of you guys a chance to answer some different questions. Don't get mad at me if you like somebody else's rapid fire question better than your own. I tried my best to make them all spaced out, and then we'll get into some deeper questions. Certainly a lot of important stuff to talk about today. So Shannon, I'm going to start with you. Self-storage, is it a technology business, a real estate business, or a people business?
Yes, it is. That's an excellent question, Thaddeus.
I asked 3 of them, and you said yes, it is. So I'm guessing you're saying all 3.
It is all 3. It is all 3. If you are not looking at it as the real estate asset that it is, you're going to be missing out. If you are not operating as the business that it is, you're going to be missing out. And if you ignore the people, I don't know the last time you guys checked, but we don't have a business or an income if there aren't people handing us money to do it. So to my way of thinking, and you guys are always going to hear me say this, been doing customer support of some form or fashion since pretty deep into the 1900s. They are the reason that we do what we do. And so if we ever try to do anything that's not people oriented, I think that we're setting ourselves up to fail.
Love it. Adam Wagner, what's changed more in the last 24 months? Pricing strategy, marketing, or staffing?
I'm going to borrow a playbook out of Shannon there, but yes, I think all of them have changed.
This is going today.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, she has a great answer. So ditto. And I think all of them have changed in some way, shape, or form. You can't be doing the business the same way you did 2 years ago, or even 9 years ago, or whatever that number is. You've got to be evolving every year to what is different. Our model has changed in every one of those sectors.
Look forward to diving more into that as we get into some of the deeper questions. Gabriel, AI, I know this is something you've been diving into a lot when we spoke. Overhyped, underhyped, or misunderstood?
Again, I think all of the above, just to continue here. And that's really what your perspective is. I would like to say it's right on par. But, after having traveled around and had so many conversations, I would feel it's absolutely divided on who you ask. On one side, I see right now what they're calling the AI slop, right? Like so much AI content generated is being generated right now. And so this negative perception is right behind it. But there's still a lot of good people doing a lot of good things with it too. So again, it's really like how you're using it, how you personally view it is going to, be able to answer that question.
Love the answer. Shannon Charbonneau, will operators with 5 or fewer stores exist a decade from now?
I sure hope so. Thaddeus, I genuinely don't know the answer to that because I see the same things that you guys are seeing when it comes to consolidation. But I will tell you that one of the things that I have always enjoyed about the self-storage industry is that I feel like it's one of the last last frontiers when it comes to family owned and operated businesses that are passed down from generation to generation. And I cannot help but notice I'm sitting here with Gabriel Luna, who works for Derrell's Mini Storage, which is a family owned and operated company, and Adam Wagner, who's managing and owning and operating and teaching his children to do the same. I think you have the exact right people on this panel for that question. And I really, really hope so, because I think it's a really important part of what makes us special, frankly.
Mhm.
Love that. And you guys, if you ever watch my podcast, know I talk so much about the kindness that exists in our industry, and something that I hope never ever goes away, regardless of how much consolidation happens, which obviously
Mhm.
with my intro is a theme that's taking over our industry. Adam, I'm going to set you up on one here. Pretend Shannon's not on the call. Call centers, cost center or revenue center for a storage operator?
I think you have to have one. You have to have somebody helping to back you up, right? We spend so much money to get that phone to ring that if your manager, if you're traditionally managed or if you're remotely managed like we are, it doesn't really matter. When that phone rings, somebody has to pick up that phone. And if our people are busy, I need XPS or a call center behind me to pick that up and then pass that torch off to. I think you're losing a large piece if you don't have it.
Gabriel Luna,
I
last of
agree,
the
Thaddeus.
shocked by
Sorry,
that from the
I know I'm interrupting, but I just got so excited. I'm sorry.
Gabriel, last for the rapid fire questions. Revenue management systems, critical today, an advantage for operators, or is it like an arms race right now? Everyone's got one, and if you don't have it, you're left behind.
No, again, having have dealt with small operators, medium and large, it's definitely something that's continuing to evolve. I feel like the small players are not necessarily so tuned into it, and I would be almost in agreement with you that contact center is probably where they're looking. I was going to say where you can touch the people is probably the easiest and the closest to hang with. So, do you need revenue management? I believe we're probably headed in that direction. We're, actually investigating it ourselves, not necessarily using a service, but we're completely aware of our competitors, and we're, tracking historic and trajectory. So we might as well be using one of those services. And so I do think as AI especially starts to continue to change the way search function is, I would like to say yes, you're going to have to be tuned in. But again, like most of my answers today is like, I'm only predicting what I think is going to happen, while also knowing that AI is moving so fast and can make a 180-degree turn on me at any point. I'm always cautious and say, proceed with caution.
I love that. As someone who grew up in the 80s with Terminator, we got to be a little bit careful about what we wish for here. Listen, we're going to be back in 30 seconds. We got a ton to deep dive in, but first I want to get a word for our sponsors. Storage Unlocked is brought to you by PB Brown. Over $1 billion in ground-up construction delivered, from single-story to Manhattan high-rise, institutional grade, engineered for performance, and designed to stand out. Great storage catches the consumer's eye, drives traffic, and helps lease up happen faster. From Manhattan to Miami, California to Hawaii, PB Brown is the GC to trust for your multi-million-dollar storage development. So grateful for Guy Sacento and Hano Montoya supporting these conversations. We're going to get into some deeper questions now, go a little bit further with answers if you guys want to, certainly. Shannon, I'm going to start with you again. Between Public Storage announcing, of course, they're going to buy NSA. I alluded to Storage Mart. They bought $1 billion portfolio in the 5 boroughs, 4 of the 5 boroughs anyway, from Carlyle Group earlier this year. SmartStop acquired Argus's platform late last year. We saw Kiwi 2 get bought out by Janus International, although the gents at Kiwi 2, Wayne Woolsey and his co-founder, still running the day-to-day. $100 million acquisition of a steel company. I mean, it's almost crazy to hear these stories over and over. What is the industry telling us right now?
What's interesting is, those are really big and they're flashy and they get attention. It's news, right? but there are 40,000 other facilities. So I don't want anybody to
Mhm.
panic. Like, I think that would be my heads up, would be, just because those big things have happened, and they are, and they probably will continue to be, it doesn't mean that it is that it's happening across the board. And I would also say, probably my biggest takeaway from especially the public acquisition of NSA, that actually opens them up to markets that they traditionally have not played in previously, right? That has been one of the things about public, is they've been kind of a primary market player, and NSA really was in secondary and even tertiary. So it's very interesting to me to see kind of in the future what's happening. And here in Texas, we're watching public move in next door, and I'm very curious as to what that's going to look like for operators in our state, because public does not have a huge presence here. They've been in California, as we know, for their whole life up until now, and they're huge in California. So I have to admit that in Texas, we're kind of like,
Yeah.
What's this going to look like?
are you going to build, or are you going to buy? Because I mean, I'll let the other guys speak more on that, but man, there's a lot of facilities. There's just a lot of facilities. So
Appreciate that. Gabriel Luna, I was having a conversation earlier today with a young kid, Tyler Harper, and he and his team have scaled a complete remote management system, and they're now buying a facility a week in tertiary markets. So I guess my question that I would ask of you is, technology going to allow, is it actually going to allow the bigger players to go into markets that they haven't traditionally gone into because you couldn't scale in a big way?
I think absolutely. I think they're, collecting that information. They've been collecting information. In fact, I can remember, back in before even 2020, at the one of the SSA shows where they announced, like, look, the REITs are buying data like nobody's business. We're not sure why, but we know they are. And now we can see, here we are years later, understanding that they're absolutely looking at what the best players are doing. They're absolutely testing the different technologies. I seen something, and not to divvy from public, but Extra Space too, testing all kind of, leveraging their relationship with Google to open up AI beta testing for them, so they have access to stuff that we can't even think of yet. And so again, absolutely, I think if they're moving into those markets, we always kind of say, let's follow them, right? Because they're dumping in so much data and so much insight, that if they decide to put a building there, there's probably a really good reason why. And so if they're moving into those markets, like, I don't think they move unknowing. I think they know. I think they know more than they're, than we know, obviously. And that's just purely because of the spend and the access to the information that they have. So yes, I think absolutely they're taking technologies on. We've seen them in the past. If there's a technology or a platform that interests them, they have no problem, like Apple, just rolling it into themselves. So absolutely, always watch. And at the same time, I always precaution us to not necessarily mimic them, right? Because they're so big, because they operate so differently. And this comes directly from a Tracked IQ, Noah Starr, out of his mouth, saying, like, we're watching the REITs all the time, but they act so differently than you. You shouldn't also do what they do. Just watch what they do. And so again, my precautionary tale, as always.
Love Noah, another spot. He's our data partner on the show. So love that you gave him an unsolicited shout out there. And he says something else too. When we talk, we often will do earnings calls with Noah, and he'll recap what's going on. He was on paternity leave this time, so we didn't get him for Q4 2025. Congratulations, Noah, on baby Charlotte. Hope she's still doing well. But I wanted to say something that he says that's important for a lot of folks as they build a portfolio. The REITs are their end game, right? And so, yeah, you want to pay attention to what they're doing if your end game is to put together a portfolio and sell. Adam, I want to come to you for a second. Obviously, we connected I guess it's been over a month now, to talk about you had a recent merger with the Storage Manager Group with NA10 Storage Property Management. Is that a necessity in today's world? Is getting to a certain level of scale something that is absolutely imperative in surviving? Or was that more just something that was an opportunity that you couldn't pass up?
I think getting to scale helps. I mean, you can see that in the REITs and everybody else, right? It allows us at scale to negotiate better terms for our customers, for our own personal properties. It allows a lot of stuff that we do get to see a lot more data now. With AI, we can take all sorts of things and say, hey, feed it into it. Tell me what are you seeing, and it'll see things at a moment's glance that would take our data team 2 weeks to look through and sort through and add things. And so for us, I mean, what Gabriel is saying is 100% correct. They have so much data, but I think for us, that's the piece that we enjoy is we get not as much data, but we have all the same data, maybe less data points, but we can put it in together and start seeing those things. And what I love about smaller operators like ourselves is they're big, very large cruise ship oil tankers. They take forever to turn and to do anything. Where we can pivot, we're little speedboats in the ocean. And so we can pivot very quickly and change our way of doing things. And we don't have thousands of layers to go through. We can try things. Oh, that didn't work. Pivot real quick, try something different. So for me, I love the big guys. They're nice people, great people. They know what they're doing. But at the same time, the smaller operators like ourselves, I mean, we are still the majority in the market.
Yeah.
Gabriel, I see you nodding your head along there. Anything to add to what Adam said?
No, again, perfectly stated. I think just along all of that is, we're just continuing to watch. And I think it just really depends on how you're operating. And I would always say it just takes concern, right? Like you always should be involved. I feel there's so many opportunities for services of all kinds. And I'm always cautious for people to go into a brand new show, right? And in the past couple of years, I feel there's so many people coming from multifamily and just brand new people who have never seen storage before, and they're entering. There's so many services that they could roll into. And I would even go as far as saying almost a set it and forget it approach. Like having the money, you could go really quick and have a full fleet setup. And I would say, don't do that either, because you should absolutely have your hands in every single bucket and really know what's going on, because a lot of services that are great will kind of, are cookie cut. They go quick and they will spend your money, very, very easily. And if you're not in tune and you're not aware of what's going on, then there's a good chance that there's, some money being left on the table. So always be involved as much as you can. And a nod to AI now, if you're not familiar with marketing, because you're not a marketing person, that doesn't mean you couldn't leverage AI to be right there with you and help you understand. I think now in a time with so many services going so quick, you have to be a part of that program. It's about leverage. I know we want to trust partners, but it should be a partnership truly with you involved as well.
Yeah. Can I speak to that from a vendor perspective? Thaddeus, do you mind?
100%. Absolutely.
You're like, no.
Yeah, I absolutely love what Gabriel is saying there. And from a vendor, I say yes, yes, yes. Nothing makes me happier than when a client comes and says, I have these technology decisions that I need to make, right? You really do want to involve all of your suppliers right up front. If you're considering making a change at any level, it really can impact all the rest of them. I always say kind of your FMS is going to be the beginning of that, or like the head of the octopus, so to speak, like all of the other pieces plug into that. So if you're making a change there, every single arm of your system is impacted by that change, right? So you just want to be ahead of that and make sure that you're getting what you need. And we've been in this industry for a long time. When I started with XPS, I mean, there were probably more I was learning, but if it was SiteLink or CenterShift at that point, back before it was even Yardi, those were your options, right? And so there is so much more now with so many layers of what's available within each individual system. And I see people, gosh, on our Facebook pages where they're like, pick this one, it's $45 a month. And I just look at it, my eyes twitching like,
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got 2 APIs. You can integrate with 2 other services, but you
Not
save some
yes.
money on your
Like
monthly
you
cost.
just spent $6 million on a real estate asset and you're trying to run a business and what you're thinking is I can do it for $45 a month
Yeah.
is for me a huge concern. And I'm not even in
Yeah.
your business. So as a vendor, I say, yes, please bring me all those conversations. We're happy to have them.
Gabriel, I'm going to ask you this question. Is what's happening in technology, whether it's actual true artificial intelligence, whether it's more like workflow streamlining using technology, is this helping smaller operators keep up? Or are the bigger players able to put so many assets into it, so much money into it, that ultimately it's going to leave smaller operators behind?
You keep asking these double stream questions. I love it.
I gotta test your, put you on the spot a little bit here.
I love it because I think it's really both. Again, almost again, I think it's a perfect segue your questions here because I think again it's your involvement, right? Like you can really easy get carried away in the stream. There's especially now there's so much hype around AI. I saw a presentation where they were talking about changing your whole Google schema and getting ready for AI, and I was like, I can't believe they're recommending that right now. Yes, you should be aware of it, but if there's so much panic and like, oh my God, I need to change things quickly. And so that goes right along with Shannon, like have conversations first. Like, let's talk, let's understand impact. There's a lot of hype right now around technologies. And so while Public and Extra and all the REITs are going for it, like, I think there is this kind of underlying sense of urgency, right? I talk to people at shows and they're like, I need to get started. I'm so behind. I'm losing money. Like they're having anxiety right in front of me. And I'm saying like, well, talk about it, like what is your concern? It's really, there is no right answer. How does your operations run? Let's talk about that. What is your concern? Where are your people? Again, I don't want anyone to fall into the hype that they need today to go change their Marco so that ChatGPT can find them. And I'll even say this: what they're recommending today, by next week, it's going to change already. So it's like, just stay in tune, stay aware. That's why involvement is necessary. And I think you have to have an understanding because there's so much hype. The technologies are touting reports quick, AI, it's doing it for you. Like you can replace, you can stop, you can load hours. I mean, they're talking so fast that how can you consume it all and really understand? You have to stop, slow down, wrangle your team in, say, what is our concern? Like be methodical, even though AI is going so fast.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
Adam, I want to go back to you with something you kind of alluded to earlier, and I'm going to make it specific to this conversation about tech. Jacob Pandel, if you guys don't know, from Notify, amazing company doing property upkeep through technology. Really cool what they do. And Jesse Lamb, one of my absolute favorite people in the world. Jacob said something to me which I found fascinating. He actually said it 2 weeks ago on the vendor platform for the second time. He's like, look, people that have a lot of tech debt already from adopting stuff from 2014 to 23, 24, they may actually be in a worse position than folks that haven't adopted a whole lot of technology in the last 10 years just because of the rapid rise of these solutions that are all encompassing. So this is a long-winded way of introducing a question, Adam, which is, are maybe the publics in the extra spaces and the cubes that have tech debt because they had the financing to go and bring in big, they made their own property management facility management software, whatever it is. Are you as a smaller operator maybe in a advantageous position right now with the rapid innovation of tech with your ability to kind of pick and choose?
I think yes. The short answer is yes. Move on.
Gabriel agrees with you clearly.
Yeah,
he's down there shaking his head.
Well,
like,
I mean, it is. So what Gabriel was saying earlier is the same thing I talk to people on. And when I speak, I'm like, hey, what are your top 3 issues you're having in your company, right? Stop focusing on, I got to do this. I mean, you get information overload and it's like, choose top 3 and let's focus. Solve number 1 and find a tech solution or something that solves that. That one may also solve number 2. And for us, and if that doesn't work, that's okay. Just move it out and try something different to solve those issues. For me, when I'm looking at tech, I'm always looking at, how does it impact my customers? How does it impact my company? And then how does it impact our bottom line long term? On the front end, it may cost a little money to put it in and get it ready. But long term, can I make my company or my customers' money grow? And to me, that's all I'm looking at in any tech solution.
It's fascinating that you talk about that and you tied very clearly together. How does it impact the customer? And how do I make my customer's income grow? Right. The
Right.
customer, your customer being the owner of the actual facility,
Exactly.
the tenant of their facility being the customer you're having to interact with. I spoke about Jessie Lamb, and that's something she said
Yeah.
to me a couple of years ago about like, hey, customer first, right? The tenant always has to be first. Shannon, I'm going to come back to you with a question that's really specific to you with what you guys do at XPS Solutions. Since January 1st of this year, I have been introduced to 4 different companies that are doing AI voice agents.
Sure.
4 companies in 3 months. It's mind blowing. From sales, one of the companies has a virtual regional manager set up. Like, it's unbelievable what's going on with you guys. Of course, as a call center, how do you view this rise in technology, and where does it fit in with actually having live people answering the phone?
I firmly believe you have to have both. You just
Mhm.
have to have both. We don't come to work on a horse and buggy, and we don't believe that you can only do people. I am I'm in the older generation now. It's hard for me to believe, but it's true. And let me just tell you, I live on phones and apps and whatever is easiest and most convenient. And
Mhm.
um, and I have no problem with that. So when my clients tell me, "Oh, my customers won't use an app," oh, they sure will.
Yeah, they do. Yep.
They sure will. But the thing is that I think you kind of alluded to this earlier. You can price yourself out of a market by picking and choosing 15 different vendors. I'm going to get this vendor to do this, and this vendor to do that, and this vendor to do this, and this vendor to do that. I really think that, with XPS, and I'm going to throw a shameless plug in here. Get more things from one person, right? Get your things from one place. We've got AI that is coming out to supplement, not to replace, but to supplement. Um, we have no plans to lose any of our current staff, but if we implement the AI correctly, then I'm going to be able to bring in additional clients without needing additional headcount, right?
Mhm.
And so that is the plan, to keep the excellent people that we have and simply ask them to step up the game and make sure that when they do take a call, that they're able to help with what the person needs. Because what I don't need is your website, which should be fantastic. And Gabriel, to your point earlier about, I got to change my schema. I always start with, how's your Google business profile looking? Because listen, if you haven't started with the foundations, right? Like, you don't have to worry about
Right.
the parts. But if you've got a fantastic website and then you've got, some sort of staff, whether it's on site, remote managed for your own internal, a call center, whatever that looks like, you're answering your calls, you're doing all the things. If you're bringing in 15 different pieces of tech to do what is essentially answer the phone, like,
Mhm.
I would say you could price yourself out of it. And it's kind of the same thing I see with, streaming services. Again, because I'm old, I remember back in the day, you had one bill and you had, you went and watched whatever you wanted to watch, and it was on TV when you saved it. And now I
Yeah.
can never remember where anything is. I always have to ask them, what station is that on? Or, what service is that on? And I feel like we could do the same thing, and it's, $40 here, $200 here, $99 here. And if you've got a facility with 200 units or less, you literally cannot afford to live, right?
Mhm.
Just no way. So, finding a way to kind of wrap that all up into one nice package, I think, is the way to go. And I love Adam actually, and you piggybacked on it. That is our internally and what we present to the world. Our theme is experience matters. Theirs being
Mhm.
the tenant, yours being our client and ours being not only the years of experience that we have, but our team's experience as an employee of our company. And we believe in that and wholeheartedly. So
That makes me and just to piggyback on what you said, I had Maggie Bodie from Unity AI. They're one of the people doing a voice agent. She was on the tech side of it a couple weeks ago, and to her credit, said, "Hey, we're not here to replace the live people that are answering calls at a call center. We're here to try and enhance and maybe take some of the things off of their plate that your best sales agents in a call center shouldn't be doing, right? They shouldn't be
giving you
answering
a gate code. No, you're right.
100%. So just wanted you to know that one of those folks that's coming into that is fully on board with what you said. To your point, and Adam, I'm going to go to you on this side of it in the third party management side, especially smaller stores. How critical is it that they implement technology correctly, that they don't overspend on technology?
It's critical, right? Because obviously, like as Shannon said, if you have a small facility or smaller facility, you got to make sure that you balance what's that return on that investment, right? And you may spend a little money up front to get what at the end, right? And that's where you lean on a 3PM company like ourselves to be like, hey, what can I expect? How does this impact our company? To me, again, it's always customer focused. Like, how is this going to impact your customers? AI voice. If I can relieve we call them concierge managers, just to drill it into their head. They're not call center agents; they're concierges in our storage industry. And so for us, we want our concierge managers to be more focused on customers. And so if we're giving out gate codes, even down to receiving payments and stuff like that, like that all can be automated through some sort of voice AI, or you can go to our website, stuff like that. Not that we don't want to talk to people, because we genuinely do love people. But what we want to do is give a concierge level service to the people that need it when they need it. And I think every operator, whether you use 3PM or you're a small operator, large operator, you need to be utilizing and layering in smartly, but use some form of technology, AI or something like that, and start with it, because it's not going away.
Right.
Start learning it now and figure out how can this help me run smarter. But that's just me.
Gabriel, I'm going to piggyback on this with you. What's a workflow that operators are currently doing that they might still be doing manually that you think is a place where they absolutely should be looking at technology to come in and help?
Well, I'm going to go with my absolutely biased answer of marketing.
I couldn't have guessed that would have been what you would have said, Gabriel.
Marketing, right? I mean, marketing is where all your data is. And I think to the point of what Adam said, like a lot of operators, and I see this and even the small stage shows, you're sitting on a ton of data that you're probably doing nothing with right now. Your video cameras, your gate data, your all your door data, all those things that yes, you can see how many people, the dashboards that come in are minimal dashboards, but for the first time with AI, you can start layering all types of stuff. So I'll pick on Janus. We had Janus locks in previous, and Janus gives you some data behind the scenes. But finally, I was able to export that, actually run that through ChatGPT, and as Adam said, it will see things that I'm not even aware of, let alone looking for. It was able to, for example, bring out all my outliers. On average, at this facility, every tenant visits 3 times a month. So you might want to look at these 10 tenants that visit 50 times more a month, like, and I would assume that maybe that's a gardener who's coming in every morning. And if they're not, then I really, really need to pay attention to that tenant. So things like that is just one little example of we already have so much data. You're already paying for services that provide you data. Mm-hmm. And so I think you need to leverage AI today to see what else can you see, get more value out of what you're already paying for.
I'm going to come back to you for a second, Adam. This fascinates me. I had a conversation with Gabriel, used to work for Cobra Co for Brett Henry and Trojan Storage. And I had this conversation with Brett, 6 months ago now, about it's hard to tweak levers to increase NOI. It's not an easy thing to do. Adam, obviously running a third party management company, this is what people hire you to do. How is technology and what Gabriel's talking about with data? How is that going to be a tool that you use to understand the right levers to push?
Every market's slightly different, and so knowing what data points and markets, is it price sensitive market, is it a special sensitive market, what are your competitors around there doing? Like, we could spend days poring over all of that data. We use Veritech RMS, revenue management software, and some other things, Tracked IQ, and we'll pull all those pieces in there and start looking at what is this market doing and how can we pull these levers, and what levers do I have? First, you got to know which levers you do have, right? Whether it's pricing and promotions, or of course ECRIs, which is sometimes, especially right now, a semi-sensitive topic. So people from California, I'm in Texas. And so for us, it's one of those things. It's you've got to figure out which levers you have first, and then you can start working through those levers. Or, maybe you don't need certain things, or you, like what Shannon was saying, we can start layering things in there that people like XPS do multiple things, right? So stop paying all of these minimum fees everywhere else, and maybe go to somebody else that maybe you're going to pay XPS slightly more, but overall it's less. And if you're not in it every day, all day, like all of us are, sometimes as a smaller operator, these things just kind of go out of your mind, and you don't even know about them.
It's so fascinating to me, right? And I'm old enough, going back to something Shannon said earlier. I can remember when you dialed the phone and the business either answered, or they didn't even have like voicemail yet. Like, you just
that was when you were doing this,
like,
right?
Literally circling the aisle, right? My mom had a party line, and if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's kind of fun. I'm not old enough to have had a party line, but I'm old enough to remember before people had voicemails at their house, right?
Yeah.
Like, certainly before it was part of the phone service. I say that because we've come to this place now where, and I think all of us on this roundtable would agree, that the most annoying thing is when you had the press 2 for this, press 4, and you had to wait like 5 minutes. We've obviously got technology that's moving us beyond that. It's kind of exciting. Like, it's neat to come back to this place where like, I remember what it was like then. It wasn't fun to not know if your friend was going to show up at the basketball game, because you couldn't get a hold of them. I don't even know where I'm going with this one, but it's kind of a fun conversation to have. I know what my next question is going to be. Shannon, I'm going to come around to you, and I guess it kind of leads into this a little bit. What percentage of missed calls that people are missing in their facility, if they're not using a call center and they're not using a virtual AI call agent, how much revenue are people missing when they miss a call? I would guess you have a pretty good idea of this, given it's got to be part of your sales pitch.
I do, but here's what I'm also going to tell you is any missed call is the one you wanted to get, right? Because the thing is, before you pick it up, you just flat don't know if that is someone who just needs their balance, or if that is someone who wants to rent a 10 by 30 from you for the next 8 years. Like, you can't tell by the sound of the ringing telephone which of those two things they are, right? And so the bottom line is you just simply have to answer the phone. And that goes back to Adam and what we talked about earlier. It is a foundational thing. And you were asking, how do you move the needle? Like, how do you move the needle? And I'm going to say your foundation has to be set. And that is one, because every single phone call before it's answered is as valuable as every other phone call that's answered. So the real answer, probably about 20%. About 20% of your calls are going to result in an opportunity for rental. And for me, I mean, because I track everything, obviously, it's super easy for me to say, we rented this number of units based on this rent, based on this many months of use, meaning we added this much to your revenue, which translates to your NOI and your cap rate, frankly. So we can do all of that math for you, but I can make it really, really simple for you. Please answer the phone. Every call is a potential lead, and you paid $95 to make that phone ring.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me. My mentor in business, I used to run a martial arts school. A lot of people don't know that, but my mentor, Tiger Schulman, who's a martial artist, who's also a business person, and would impress upon us, answer the phone. Answer the phone, because they're on a Google page and there's 3 other people right after them. And the minute they hang up from you, they're calling the next guy. And that's just been he bred it into me, which I'm very thankful for. In the long run, helped me immensely in my life. Because if I don't answer the phone, I call you back within 3 seconds of seeing that I missed the call. So that idea, and to your point, if you miss 5 calls, you missed revenue,
There's
right?
at least 2 of them could have been a rental, at least. Yes.
Yeah.
Gabriel, I'm going to come to you for the next question. I want to ask about customers. I'm fascinated by Public Storage, and they've said it 3 times in a row on their 3rd quarter earnings call, 4th quarter earnings call, and on the merger call with NSA. They talked about 85% of their customer interactions are now digital in some way. I find that to be absolutely incredible. Obviously, you're the marketing manager for Derrell's Mini Storage. Talk to me about how customers are behaving differently, engaging with stores from your perspective, even as, obviously not Public Storage's size. Are you guys seeing that at Derrell's Mini Storage on your level, different interaction behaviors with customers?
I think, again, yes and no. So to just quickly touch on Public, I really I remember seeing their CEO speak maybe about a year or 2 ago, and how much they were really funneling everybody through the app. And so they went like ham on making sure everybody pushed to the app. And congratulations to them, because they're really funneling all the conversations, the leads. Everything is moving through that app. Now they had the power, the marketing, everything to push everybody through that funnel. And I think that's absolutely to their advantage. And so can we do that? We could try, but I think as medium or smaller operators, we're just playing wherever and whenever we can. I just, make sure your information's uniform across, and, try to understand your multi-touch attribution, right? On like where they're actually going and touching. And so to benefit of Public, they just said, there's one, you want to talk to us, you want to pay your bill, you want to do anything, there's one door and one door only. You walk through that one. And so in that way, I think they have really successfully been able to push everybody like through a door. I don't think we can take that same approach. If we come and say, sorry, we're here, but we want you to talk to the app, they'll just go, I want to go across the street to Public. And so I think as smaller operators, again, we play wherever the customer will come.
Yeah, it's interesting because the thing is, with the Public, they get to build everything into their one app. And the difference is then for everybody else in our market is that they're going to have an app. I mean, we have an app, right? Our gate systems have an app. Their Notify stuff has an app. Our property management system has an app. All of the things have apps, and people have app fatigue. It's real. Like, I'm absolutely not going to download 2 apps to work with your company. That's not happening. Right. 1, probably. 2, absolutely not even considering it. Right.
I can speak to that myself, and I consider myself to be kind of one of those leading edge guys. When there's new technology, I'm all about it. But I have a hard time downloading 1 app right now, let alone 2. So can speak to that from personal experience. Adam, I want to get your perspective on the third-party management side as you're dealing with operators that are looking to you to come in and run your store. What are they expecting from you? Like, what are the absolute things that you just need to be providing for people from a technology standpoint, or they're not going to even consider you to third-party manage their facility?
It's always the same right now. They want more money, and they want more occupancy, and they don't want to spend any money. And yeah, there you go. And that's it in a nutshell. It's like, do all of this, get me more, but I don't want to. You want to charge how much? And so yeah, for us, I'm just playing, but
No, you're not.
No,
for
you're
us,
playing, but
You're
there's an element of
absolutely
truth
right.
there's
there
a
for
little
sure.
bit of truth, right? So they want to do things. And so a lot of the times that we're talking with mom and pops or people that have been running their company for, 10, 20, 30 years or whatever it is. And they're kind of getting to that point to where they're ready to retire and move on and stop handling the day to day of everything. And so that we'll talk to them and we'll be like, hey, this is how we do things, right? And we'll start kind of laying out all of the expectations of all of our tech stack that we utilize. And right now it's like, well, we've never done that. Well, I don't think we need that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, hold on. Like, you're asking me to come in and manage this with a modern managed experience for not only the tenants, but also for you as an owner. Like, don't come in and try to tell me like, hey, I don't need this, I don't need that. It's not a pick and choose. Let me modernize this for you. So our companies or your companies don't become the Sears and Roebuck, the Toys R Us, the stuff, people that have been doing business the same way for so long. And we don't understand. And it's like, listen, it's okay. Like, times are changing, as Shannon pointed out. In Dallas, they're not riding horse and buggies to their jobs anymore, and neither are we as owners and managers of companies. We have to change our model and business practice to evolve over time to make sure we're staying in front of our customers where they are. And like what Gabriel was saying, if that person wants to walk into an office and talk to somebody, we're remotely managed. They can walk in and talk to us on our own. We have our own communication stack, but you can walk and talk to us on a video screen. You can scan a QR code if you want to. You can video chat with us on our website. If you just want to call us, that's fine. Like, however that customer wants to interact with us, we want to interact with that customer. And like Shannon said, when that phone rings, that video call comes in, you better answer. Somebody better answer that call, because it costs too much money for that call to be missed. And so for us, that's what they're looking for is how do we manage better, smarter, faster, and more productive than what they are currently? And how can we take this not just for them, but for their kids and their kids' kids? How do we continue that legacy that they built upon and continue it down the road?
You guys have been absolutely amazing. In the interest of trying to keep this under an hour, I'm going to go into our second round of rapid fire questions. Feel free to, we got a little crazy on the first side. We were definitely not doing one word answers, and that's quite okay. I don't expect you to keep it to one word, but we're going to try and keep these to at least one sentence if we can, in the interest of trying to get off the air before the hour is up. Shannon, I'm going to start with you. Fully remote stores. We know that, in smaller stores, they have become fully remote out of necessity. The only way to really get an NOI that makes any sense on those types of facilities. How far up the food chain are we going to get with fully remote operated stores?
I mean, they are absolutely a reasonable thing in this industry. We have to support them. That's all there is to it.
Do you see that getting into secondary and primary markets?
I think it depends on the number of units, and Adam might disagree with me, but I think it's a lot easier to have a remote managed facility if it's 300 or less units. If you've got a 1,200 unit facility and you're trying to run that remote, I will admit to a little heart palpitation about that. I'll let Adam speak to that from his perspective, but I mean, remote is a valid option, right? If I owned a bunch of facilities, I probably would personally look at like a hub and spoke type of a situation where I have one physical person managing multiple facilities and traveling around. But that's just me based on what I observe in the industry. And I see your face, Adam. So
It's like,
no, I know. Well,
like,
here's the thing.
I just want to know, where do you walk into Amazon to go buy something?
I know, but Adam,
okay,
so impersonal.
there we go.
Oh.
I'm done. Thank you, Sears and Roebuck.
I'm going to ask. So
somebody's got to be around
anecdotal
sometime.
Story here. My dad's first job when he graduated from Husson College in 1970 was for Sears. And he was an employee of Sears when they decided to build the Sears Tower in downtown Chicago, and knew that day that it was the beginning of the demise of that company, which no longer exists as it used to. I just took a big sidetrack. Adam, I want to actually ask you a question now. Are we at a point now, and Shannon runs a call center, right? Expert salespeople in a central location, not on site. Are we at least going to get to a point with Class A primary facilities where there are sales agents not on site?
Yes. You want one word, or can I? That's it. I did it.
I just got so excited, kept it to one word, right? If somebody is on site, they might be overlocking or they might be sweeping units, but they're not the one that's in charge of selling a unit.
No, I agree. 100%.
Love it. Love it. Next question, and Adam, I'm going to stick with you because you did such a good job keeping to one word. The next generation of self-storage tenants, are they going to expect a digital first leasing experience?
Yes. 100%. If you're not doing it now, you're already behind the curve.
Yep.
Love it. All right.
Sorry, that was a little more.
No, it's fantastic. Gabriel, you're going to finish us today. I love it. What capability separates tomorrow's operators from yesterday's operators?
Yes.
I can tell you how much fun you guys have made this. I appreciate it greatly. Oh, that's awesome.
I really think it's going to be the person who pioneers. You need someone who cares to just run away with it, right? Because it takes time. It's constantly evolving. It's changing, let alone the technologies, but the market, and the market is reacting to the technology. And so I think to be successful, it takes someone who actually cares, is staying in tune with what's going on, and can make their best recommendation to the executive team and say, this is what I see and hear, and this is what I feel. And as soon as you can have that rapport, and I think that's going to be your golden ticket, is just to be aware of what's going on and be courageous enough. And I feel a lot of people are brave to just start venturing forward. And I rewind 9 years ago when I couldn't sell anything. I couldn't get my, executive team to purchase anything for me. Like, you want to spend $100? Why? And now I can, I'm having buku. I'm going to give a shout out to Brett Henry, who allowed me the opportunity to sign up for every single AI service, and test and play and come forward and say, this is what I see and find. So it's going to take someone forward thinking and someone who cares to trudge forward and pioneer within your company.
To Gabriel's earlier point, though, Thaddeus, talking about AI slop, we are all seeing it. I am in the marketing that I am receiving constantly. It's exhausting. Yeah. So for what he just said, I think that the key takeaway for me there is that the people are going to know when someone cares. Right. Yeah. And so, yes, use your tools, but we have to care for humans, by humans. Like, even building our AI tools, we have to build them in such a way that they care. Right. It's not just about just automate it. It is automate it well and care for them, know what they need, be available for them, and then have live people to back that up, for sure.
One last thing, that's exactly how this conversation started. Was Shannon and I at the meeting where they're talking technology, and we looked at each other. I ran to her and said, we need to hear more about people being involved in this. People first, especially me. People AI, they think I fly down in a spaceship and deploy Terminators. That's not true. Like, as much as I push and as much pioneer in AI, it's always people centric.
People first.
Right. Well, and what's interesting is, as Gabriel's exactly right, like we had a wonderful connection on that. But to be fair, the team, there was at Tenant Inc., just for transparency, that team is doing great things with their technology. I am super excited about it.
Yeah.
But I want to hug the people.
Yeah.
So, what's the lens you're looking at it through, right? I'm a firm believer that your perspective always determines how you see anything, right? So if you're not looking at it from a customer-oriented perspective, then sometimes you can get twisted a little bit with what technology brings to the table.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Guys, I'm going to use this as kind of a way to go on. One of the things, and we've talked about a lot through the call, is the consolidation that's happening in the storage industry. And while there's still lots of facilities that are owned by smaller operators, one of the concerns that I have, and we didn't even really talk about some of the legislative and legal issues going on in the industry. We stayed away from that today. Shannon's
There's
like,
a
thank
lot.
God.
I just came back from a meeting that had like pages and pages of all the different states. And I'm just saying there was a lot of red text on that was not necessarily positive for our industry. So pay attention. If you're not in your state association, join. Sorry, Thaddeus.
You're doing my thing. You know, obviously the national SSA show is over. Vegas will happen in September. ISS, a little bit of a different setup. That's not really a ground force looking at legislative issues on the ground in states. But I want to give a shout out to the Northeast Storage Expo, the Northeast Self-Storage Association, a bunch of the New England states. I talked about my love of Massachusetts earlier before we got on live. This is at Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut. Whatever your local state SSA is, especially as some of these smaller operations have consolidated, there are less and less of those local owners supporting those state SSAs. So anybody that's watching, please support. Foxwoods is incredible. First casino I ever stepped foot in. By the way, more casino space in Foxwoods than there is on the Strip in Vegas, which is hard to believe. Wow. NISA.org. Incredible steakhouse there too, David Berg's Prime. And of course, coming in and supporting what these local organizations do on the ground. To Shannon's point, 7 states last year introduced legislation to put price caps on self-storage facilities. Yep. Thankfully, due to the incredible work of our national and local SSAs, none of those legislations were passed. Of course, Adam referenced California earlier. We know SB 709 did put some transparency laws in place. We want to make sure that none of these rate cap laws get passed, because it's only going to take one. And if it's like INT 495 in New York City that's bantering about the New York City Council, that's proposing a 2% rate cap and would give the New York City Council the right to write leases for all the self-storage facilities. Get involved, stay involved, participate actively. I think I speak for all 4 of us when I say we love this industry because of the way it operates, the people that are in it, the level of kindness that people operate in is unlike anything I've ever witnessed in my life. Let's try and do our best to get involved and protect that and keep that in the storage industry for as long as we can. She's Shannon Charbonneau. Adam Wagner, Gabriel, not to be called Diego. I don't know where that one came from. Gabriel Luna. I'll make fun of myself a little bit. Gabriel, cannot thank all 3 of you enough for giving up an hour of your time and coming and joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely my pleasure. By the way, make sure you tune in next Thursday at 1:00 for Storage Unlocked. We got a very special edition of How Faith Fuels Your Business with none other than Adam Wagner. And look for Shannon. Shannon and Gabriel are covered by the subscribe thing right now. Please subscribe to the channel. But we're going to have Shannon and Gabriel on How Faith Fuels Your Business before too awful long as well. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. That's it for this week's edition of Storage Unlocked. Thank you, as always, to PB Brown General Contractors for supporting these incredibly important conversations in our industry.